Well, I'm about ready to get started. I hope everybody's out there. Uh, if you have a pencil and a pad, a writing pad, it might not be a bad idea to take a few notes today. Uh, Before I get started, I'm going to just sort of break down the buying process that people go through and how good professional salespeople can lead people through that buying process. So get ready. If you got a pencil and piece of paper, have it ready. And here we go. Hello, everybody. This is Randy Baxter. I'm the president of Asset Positioning Services. And every Tuesday at 3 o'clock, we try to have a little class on topics of the day, things that I'm getting asked every day, all during the week, things that people need to know. But every once in a while, you're going to get this rare opportunity to listen to the actual breakdown of what people go through in their buying process when they're deciding to implement an estate plan. So today's topic is the anatomy of the buying process. And it's a combination of about 7, maybe 8 different marketing gurus that I have attended their classes and bought their training programs. And I took them all and I mixed them together and applied them to the purchase of the estate planning process. And what you really need to know is it's sort of like Dorothy and her magic red shoes. You've had the magic to use this process ever since you started doing business with me. And all you've had to do was click your heels and implement what I'm about to say. So pay attention, and you can ask questions at the end. But actually, what we're going to be talking about today is it's important to understand the buying process. And if you don't understand the buying process, you're going to be running around chasing your shadow or chasing things that you don't know where you're going or what you want to accomplish. So if you understand the buying process and enter it at the beginning, at the starting point, and understand the process, and you see that you're taking people through the process and that they are following. Once you turn around and see that they're following you and you notice that they're responding to what you have to say, you're probably going to write an estate plan. You're probably going to get a back-end sale. So please pay attention to what you're about to learn. But it doesn't matter how good a salesperson you are. If you're not a good marketer, you're going to be losing a lot of opportunities. So you're a better marketer if you understand the process the suspect will go through to become your client and your advocate. I think y'all have met my friend Benton there, who works with me every once in a while. We did a workshop, and one of the sales we've already made is someone advocated for us and brought a guest in, right, Benton?
Yeah.
And that guest bought an estate plan and gave us some money this week. And I will tell you that Benton and Jay and I have been working together all during the month of March in our process, and the three of us have accumulated almost $1.3 million in annuity sales and about 5 or 6 estate plans. So you can do that too. All you got to do is state the answer and ask the questions how to get there. So here we go. So, first thing I wanted to do and I always do it, I always go to my dictionary or I always go to Google and I try to get things defined. And I looked up a whole bunch of definitions of marketing. But I just found this one. This was kind of an old one, but recent definitions of marketing place more emphasis on the consumer relationship as opposed to a pure exchange process. If you're doing an exchange process, you're saying, here's my product, give me money, you get the product. Okay. If the more I can convince you to do this process that I'm teaching, the more money you're going to make and the more product you're going to move. And you have to understand that what I'm going to be teaching you is how to build a relationship so that people will tell you what it is they want and what it is they need. Then you get them to agree to trust you enough to go find that exact product. That's why I don't have any loyalty to any insurance companies anymore. I used to be nothing but New York Life, but I'm not that way anymore. I'm loyal to my client, and I'm going to find the product that works for them. And that's the first thing you need to be aware of. So, you know, our family estate docs model has to be applied to the retail end user agreement that we talked about last week. And I got a lot of good responses off that last week. Greg was telling me that a lot of people had a lot of questions in our Friday entry level class. And what they said was it helped them understand what it was they were offering to their clients and prospects, what they're offering them to buy. So, you have a responsibility to help your client understand the idea or the topic that bothers them. And if you're not very good at finding out what that topic is, you're not going to be a very good process person. So you have to have a process that identifies what people want, what people need. So, I try to teach all you folks as licensees, the goal is to lead and coach the end user, retail person, the end user through the decision process, to lead and coach that ends in the decision to implement an estate plan. We call it the front end sale. And if you're good, even if you're not good, you don't even have to be good to follow the process. If you're good, though, you'll be able to set the stage for the funding process, which we call the back end sale. Now, if you know that your personal selfish, evil motivation is to do the front end sale and the back end sale, that evil's not the right word, but if you know that that's your motivation, then you're going to have to make the front end sale first. So the first thing, there's my first misspelled word, Greg. This requires you to first to identify, but to identify who your suspects are to be. And we've talked about that over and over and over about the different people that are in the market to have an estate plan. And in the past, I've covered it over and over, and I've tried to talk to you about what an avatar is. And remember now, an avatar has no name. It's not a persona. An avatar is just a group of people that all fit the same model, that if you market to them, they will have similar needs and similar desires and similar motivations. They could be pre-retirees or whatever, retirees. But if you do this, it's the first step of the marketing process, and it determines the type of messaging. We're going to talk about messaging here in a minute, but it determines the type of messaging required to implement the cycle of success. Now, those of you who think I talk too much about the cycle of success, let me tell you what the cycle of success means. It means $1.3 million in annuity sales and 5 or 6 estate plans in a 30-day period or more. So we've talked a little bit about one thing, but now let's talk about messaging a little bit. And in marketing, you got to get the message out. So messaging is a set of processes. Maybe that should be processes. I don't know. A set of processes that are interconnected and interdependent with other functions of a business aimed at achieving customer interest and satisfaction. Now, that's a big sentence. That's a big, long sentence. But think about it. If you get the proper message to people, the one that they are receptive to, that meets the awareness of their problem, you will achieve the customer interest and the customer satisfaction. Now, isn't that what you're looking for? When we go through the cycle of success and we have a suspect, prospect, client, advocate, the easiest, cheapest, most profitable lead, for those of you who say, I need leads, I need leads, I need leads, the easiest, most profitable lead is someone who has been referred to you by someone you've already made happy. Think about that. And if you do it correctly, you don't have to spend any money. You can. So a successful marketing program will communicate on all levels of the relationship building process, all levels, enabling the client to make the best decision at each stage in which they are in. Okay, so let me give you a hint. For the years that I worked on the sales presentation, the Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To First Interview, I took these courses that I took in marketing, and I asked myself the question, how can I do all of that in 30 or 40 minutes? And the way to do that is in chapter 21, 22, 23, and 24 in Approach, Plan, Succeed. It's also in the day 21, 22, 23, 24 in advanced, what do we call it? Advanced training spoon fed, where we just give you a little dose every day. And it's also in our fast track training program where you can pack it all in one Saturday if you want to. So, we did it. We applied what I'm trying to tell you, that all these marketing gurus are trying to get you to pay them $6,000 and $7,000 and $8,000 at a time. And we took it into one sales presentation and did the whole kit and caboodle for you. And all you have to do is convert that suspect to a prospect. And after that, everything's done for you. So the hardest part is building that bridge I talked to you about last week. And if you don't understand that bridge, make an appointment with me and I'll go over it. But the issue is how involved should you be in the process? Where are you in the approach process with the avatars you identified for approaching? That's my first question. I tell people all the time, start with 10 people. Not 1,000, unless you're doing systematic massive action. Then you start with 10 and 1,000, you start out with 10 just in a few minutes. But you have to ask yourself the question, are you using the right approach? Is everyone on the same level of thought? Well, no, they are not. So I think I was told today at lunch that one of our folks had approached somebody who had bought an estate plan 2 weeks ago. Okay. That doesn't mean it's properly funded. That doesn't mean you can't step in and take over the process. And that doesn't mean you might not say, why don't we review what you did and make sure it's correct? So just because someone spent the money doesn't mean that they're not a prospect anymore or a suspect. And I don't care to tell you, some of my biggest sales are in funding trusts that have already been sold. So what I'm about to say to you is there are 5 levels of messaging in the estate planning decision process because there are 5 levels of awareness. And there's my second misspelled word, Greg, that D should be there. Okay, but that's what I get for 3 cups of coffee and starting at 4 o'clock in the morning, but that's okay. Sometimes I don't see them. But there are 5 levels of messaging in the estate planning decision process because there are 5 levels of awareness. And I'm going to go over each one of those for you so that you can understand where each one of your prospects are, not your suspects, because you don't know where your suspects are. And when and your suspect is someone that you think would benefit from the conversation, but has not agreed to talk to you on a favorable basis. But when you talk to them when you get them to agree to talk to you on a favorable basis, that's where you have to find out what level they are on. And that's why I teach you to say, hey, I will be a better advisor if I understand your family dynamics. Because, and we've done 5 or 6 of those interviews in the past week or 10 days, and we have found some just crazy family dynamics and we found some really simple ones, mom and dad and 2 kids and a dog. But we've also found mom and dad and his 5 kids that he brought to the marriage, and her cat and her 3 daughters that she brought to the marriage, and how they don't get along. And then we even found one that said, we fell in love and got married before we investigated our financial backgrounds. So, people make mistakes. People uh, love each other and don't think about the things that they need to talk about sometimes. So if we find where those 5 levels of awareness are, we just have to find one, because they're only going to be at one. They're never going to be at all 5 at the same time. They're only going to be at one of those levels. And you just have to be, I'm not sure what the right word is, but I'm going to say you have to be sincere enough to let them see that it's okay to talk to you about it. So if you're a product salesperson, and there's a bunch of you out there, approaching leads for one end goal, you may be missing out on up to 90% of your market's potential. And that could be whatever you're selling, a life policy, a product outside the financial services industry. If you go in and approach them about that product, if they don't need that product, you may have shut down the whole relationship over time. So, as a marketer, if you're going to be a marketer, and you're not going to be very good, or you're not going to make a lot of money in this business unless you understand the marketing process. So you're going to have to become a marketer. You need to understand that the decision process each avatar will go through in order to want to be your client and your advocate. Now, I'm going to go over that real slow. We, or you, need to understand the decision process. Each avatar, remember now, avatar doesn't have a name yet. An avatar is either a child, newlyweds, or new parents, or divorced parents, or grandparents, or pre-retirees, or retirees, or Medicare people, or, it's just people, people who qualify for Medicare, that's an avatar. They're 65 and older, but you don't know their name yet. So, for our purposes today, we're just going to discuss each decision level as if it were a segment of the total marketing process. Just one little segment. And if you approach 100 people, you might find 20 of them in the first segment, and 20 of them in the second segment, and 20 of them in the third, and 20 of them in the fourth, and 20 of them in the fifth. When we do our workshops, people come up and talk to us, and they're all over the board on where they are in their decision process. So if I can get you to understand these segments, it'll help you take your avatar, phone a journey. It should be on a journey, okay, from unaware to ready to buy. So once you understand, all you need to do is implement and build momentum. On all 5 levels, using a 90-day plan with a step-by-step process. And if you understand how many people you've got on level 1, and what you need to say to them to take them to level 2, and how many people you've got on level 2, and what you need to say to them to move them on up to level 3. If you understand that, each time you communicate with somebody, they don't have to know you've got them graphed out and charted out. I don't graph them out and chart them out anymore. I can usually smell them just with a couple of questions, or just a couple of statements. I'll know right where they are. And you can get there too if you do it enough. So, but you have to understand, all you need to do is implement and then build momentum. And that means you're going to make mistakes. And that means you're going to get turned down. You're going to get told no. And it doesn't matter. As long as you're implementing correctly, the numbers are going to work for you, and you're going to get your momentum. So on all 5 levels, using a 90-day plan with a step-by-step process. I don't know how many times I've said that to people, but I don't know how to change that, because that's what's true and that's what works. So, here's the secret. Implementing this process And using the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview allows you to be in control of both implementation and momentum at the same time. Now, that's a piece of scientific fact. That's a piece of mathematical fact that if you'll just accept it, you'll be able to control your momentum by controlling your implementation process. And I've been seeing that in the NCAA tournament the past couple of days. Sometimes the coach will see a play that's working, and all they'll do is keep running that same play until the other coach figures it out. Okay, because it works. Why would they change it? Okay, so the way you balance this messaging process determines your results and the volume of business you control. Now, if you want to read that again, it'll be okay. The way you balance this messaging process determines your results and the volume of business you control. And you are in control of your income. All you have to do is follow the right roadmap. So first, let's understand these 5 stages. And folks, if you're going to take a picture of something or you're going to write something down, this is it. This is the whole meat of the reason you're here today. So you need to understand, what are the 5 stages? Okay. And the first one is the concept of being unaware. Okay. And I tell people all the time, people don't wake up and stretch their arms out in the morning and go, I'm going to buy an estate plan today. They don't do that. They also, what I've learned is that people are unaware that what they've got is not correct, or it's improper, or it doesn't meet their needs. They're totally unaware. So if you know that somebody's totally unaware, and if you approach them on level 2, 3, 4, or 5, you're going to get a big blank stare. So what did I do? I tried to teach you a power phrase in my sales presentation that says, I think that you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. And you got to remember, it's okay to say that to someone who's unaware, because I used to call it creating a Mr. Big Ears. Because if you can make that statement to them, it's going to create their curiosity. They're going to want to say, why do you think that? And that's why I added on to that conversation for you after many, many years of thinking about it. That's how dumb I am. It took me a long time to figure it out. But I'll go, because people who do talk to me they learn things that they were not aware of before that. Or I didn't say that right, did I? People who talk to me learn things in which they were not aware. So I can go in and take this unaware person and I can get them to focus on something that I want them to focus on, and I can take them out of that unaware stage into the aware stage. After I do that, I have to change the message. It's time to change the message now that they're aware. Okay. So these 5 things, if you just, if you could go in and say, okay, I've got 10 people that are totally unaware, and when I approach them all, I'm going to wind up with 7 who are aware, and then I got to find 3 more people who are unaware so that I can have 10 in the middle at all times. So let's talk about segment 1. The unaware segment. This is your avatar. This is the person that you think might benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan. And they might be a Medicare policy owner. They might be somebody that you found out recently that's about to retire. They might be somebody that you found out is about to be a new grandparent. They might be someone that you learned that might have just won the lottery. It doesn't matter. But you have to find the group that you're comfortable working with. Um, uh, you know, there's if you look at the Family Tree Asset Positioning booklet, and I put about 24 different diagrams, family tree diagrams in there. When you look at those diagrams, those are all avatars. I gave them names in the book. One I called the Farmers in the Dale, and the other one I called the Newlyweds, and the Just Divorces, and the Single Person. And I got all the way down to the bottom and called them the Cartwrights, and the Brady Bunch, and the Clampetts. Okay, those are all avatars in that book. And they're all unaware that they would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan. The end user, and we talked about the end user agreement last week, the end user to select the appropriate forms, to provide proper spelling and grammar and all that kind of stuff. Those are the things that they need to do. We talked about that last week. And again, we talked about the many avatars in the past. And most of them all have three things in common. Most of the time they'll either have a relationship change or an asset change or a health change going on. They might be new arrivals. If you're in Tellico or Crossville or places like that around here in Knoxville, we got lots of new arrivals coming in. And those people have current estate plans. And people with current estate plans, they think that because they bought it, it's done. And I found a lot of improperly funded estate plans. So when somebody says, "Oh, don't worry about that, I've already got one," that shouldn't disturb you. That should get you motivated to go in and say, I'm glad you have it. Why don't we talk about and see about if it's properly funded or not?" And again, that they might have an estate plan, but might not be aware that it's not properly funded. So you always, if you're going to approach people, you want to find out what they're aware of and what they're not aware of. I don't know why, but I just thought about that Charmin commercial with those blue bears. They weren't aware of how comfortable that paper can be, soft. Okay, but they were already aware. They're trying to tell their friends. Okay, so the unaware segment does not have a clear understanding of the problems associated with an improper estate plan design. And they're not aware of possible solutions and products. And that should be, you should look out in the field and see all this clover, and you might be a rabbit and a clover eater. Look at all the clover. How many people out there in that pasture out there who are unaware of the problems associated with an improper estate plan? All right. So as a marketer, if you're going to do marketing to sell estate plans, you'll want to introduce these people to these issues. And if they're unaware, you have to use either advertorial or educational content. There's no way to approach them. So if you're going to advertise, fine, spend some money. If you want to use an educational content, use the approach that I teach you. Hey, I think you would benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. That's educational content, because they're going to look at you and they're going to go, why? So if you're going to do these, I like to use systematic massive action. And I think today in our business meeting here, we talked about 2 or 3 kinds of systematic massive action. Okay. One about, and we identified each one of those groups of people who had attended our workshops, but had not made an appointment, people who said they were to attend our workshop and didn't show, people that have filled out questionnaires, but haven't made the next move. Okay. So systematic massive action, TOMA, TOMA, top of mind awareness. I think we've got one TOMA program out right now. I think we wound up with about 100 people in it, that we sent them a letter telling them why we were going to call them sometime next week. And that it was because of information that we had received from them in times past. So, and we told them to watch out for a blue envelope, handwritten. And when they get to their mailbox Monday morning and they open their mailbox and they look in there and they've got 5 white envelopes and a blue one, they're already going to know who it's from, and they're going to want to open it and see what your message is. So, we can use systematic massive action, TOMA, workshops, annual reviews, and advocation. There may be some others, but as a marketer, for people who are unaware, you have to make them aware. And if you're good at it, you won't have skinny babies. But anyway, let's look at segment 2. Okay. Segment 1 was people are unaware. Segment 2 is they become problem aware. So this is where you want to introduce yourself as the solution. I always like to say, this is where you insert the salesperson. You don't insert the salesperson on people that are unaware. You insert the marketing person, because you got to make them aware. So if you skip step 1, it'll make step 2 harder and near impossible to succeed, because EU, where's that come from? Make near possible to succeed because you have no credibility and must build it properly. That's 4 misspelled words, isn't it? Okay. So segment 2 then is you want to take this unaware person and convert them to be an aware, and then introduce yourself as the solution. I think you would benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. That one sentence does both at the same time. So don't skip step 1. It makes it harder to do step 2. All right. So the whole mission as a marketer, if you want to do this right, is to get to the point where you can now do the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview. That takes that unaware person and they go, okay, I think I might benefit from a conversation with you because I think I might learn something in which I was not aware. What's the next step? And the next step is always the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview. Always. Doesn't matter who it is, what you think about them, you do the same interview. It creates the environment to discuss all the problems associated with an improper or poorly designed estate plan. All of the problems in one interview. One. It creates an environment to discuss all the problems associated with an improper or poorly designed estate plan or the existence of an unfunded estate plan. If you do a good job at this stage, it's the key to a smooth process completion. If you do a good job with your family tree asset positioning go-to first interview, you will have opened the door to every product that you have in your inventory and then some, without presenting the product or without asking the person to buy it. You know what? They appreciate that because it's your job to make them aware. So anyway, let's look at segment 3. Now, and like I said, the first time we approached them, they didn't know, they weren't aware of anything, and all you did was make them aware. And now you're going into segment 3, and that's solution aware. Did you know that there are solutions to this problem, that we can keep you out of probate court? We can make sure that you're in control of the people that you want to make decisions for you, or that would represent you. Then that's solution aware. Your prospect will want to decide which solution is best. You don't tell them what the solution is. You ask them if they would like to have this option. And how can they disagree with you? So quizzes, in this situation, quizzes work best in the marketing and in the workshops. because it's the way you ask the questions, and quizzes are fun, but it's the way you ask the questions that it's a learning process for them. And they'll go, "Hey, I don't have that," or "Hey, I need that," or this quiz says that my score says that I need a certain type of estate plan. So, and you know what? You have that quiz on your website. You already own it. And all I'm going to ask you to do is implement it. So anyway, this is why we ask about their current estate plan. That's why I ask you to explain the estate planning process in reverse. And it's why I ask you to use the agenda. I wouldn't have put those things in there if they didn't belong. And can you see now, if we're at this point, how far along we've gotten in the process? We've taken them from unaware to aware to now all of a sudden we're getting them to think about different solutions. And in this situation, they're 20 minutes into it. They're not 3 weeks into it. Because they have opened the door and accepted the fact that because you have made them aware that you are now presenting solutions to them in a way that they understand and gives them options. People like that. So, that's if you follow the agenda, that's why we ask the long-term care questions. That's why we ask the income questions. That's why we talk about gaps and cliffs. That's why we discuss sure things and maybes. That's why we ask the health questions. And that's why we want ballpark asset estimates. Because it's the questions that we ask that, I like to watch the cogs start turning in their brain. Okay. And you got to remember that people want you to lead them through this conversation, especially the healthier spouse, or especially the spouse that feels more at risk because of the relationship that they're in. I mentioned to you a little while ago that talked about a couple that fell in love before they really and acted on it and got married before they really found out about the individual finances. And now they love each other so much that they're trying to solve it. And by asking these questions, we've taken them through the solution process. And when you see mom and dad stop and look at each other and talk to each other, if you're smart, you'll just shut up and let them talk. So let's look at segment 4. If we've talked about possible solutions, now you want to do segment 4, which is make them aware of product, but not until they've designed the best solution. And all you product salesman people out there, remember, you got to remember how they see you. You're coming in with a product before you've made them aware or helped them come up with a solution. You want them to buy the product. If you go through this process, let me go back one more there. You've earned the right to talk to them about product, because you'll only be talking about product that fits the solution that they have come to the conclusion that they want. And then you have if you're smart, you'll say, you know what, why don't we look at 3 or 4 different products that meet this solution from different companies? So to share the details, and if you use the benefits of the family estate docs, you help your prospect get their house in order before you start showing a lot of product. And they'll follow you. They'll look at you and go, you're right, we need to do this. So then let's look at segment 5. If you go through that process, segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4, your audience, your prospect is now ready to buy if you've done it correctly. So they simply need an extra nudge. You just need to, with a real strong offer. And the offer needs to come sincere. And I'll be honest with you, I like to act like I don't care if they buy it or not. Because if I present it to them correctly and it fits the problem and they see that it is the perfect solution, it's not my problem if they don't buy it. It's theirs. And I think twice this month we've had one of the spouses say, "Oh, I want to think about it," or what was the other one? I'm doing her a favor by being here. Okay. I sometimes question whether there's any true love in that relationship. Because if people really love each other and care about each other, and they see that there's a problem, that you didn't create the problem, that you showed them where the problem is, and you show them what they can do to solve that problem. If they care about each other and love each other and have not solved that problem, and if your offer is strong enough, they'll buy it. And so we gotta sort of need to know what our offer is, right? And our offer is what we talked about last week, the end user agreement, and the fact that they can buy this program. And anytime they have a relationship change or an asset change or a health change, they can change their decisions without additional legal fees because they will own the license to make the changes. That's powerful. So, if you've done a good job, okay, but use this power phrase because you've gone in and you've gone through segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4. Use the power phrase that I teach you in the sales presentation. Mr. and Miss Prospect, you've done a good job with your assets. Don't you think it's a good idea to have the proper paperwork? Look at that. There's 5 misspelled words. Proper paperwork that can be changed as your life changes without additional legal fees for life. I would have corrected all those misspelled words, but I had to get in my car and come to work this morning. So that's my fault. And I apologize for those of you who like all the proper spelling. But anyway, the whole mission is to get to this one sentence by taking the buyer through those 5 stages all in one interview. And folks, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a master stroke to be able to do that in 30 minutes. And the way to make it easy is to have an agenda and to follow it and watch the eye contact that you make with your clients. Now, you Zoomers out there, some of you say that you can do it on a Zoom call, and yeah, I know you probably can. I'm not very good at it. I know that I'll come closer to a nice sale if I'm sitting in front of them and watch their body language and how their eyes go back and forth together, I know when to make the offer. You don't make the offer too soon. You got to get them to segment 5 to change the message to the segment 5 message. And the segment 5 message is, you're ready. Why don't we get this done now? Why would you waste any more time? So when you do that, and what I've just shown you how to do, you've unlocked the combination to have access to the back-end sales opportunity. And the next week, 7 days later, you can go in and make the back-end sales opportunity. You do that with one of the other power phrases. After they agree to buy, you look at one other power phrase, and it's in the script. I give it to you, and I show you where to use it and when to use it. And that's, now that we have your paperwork in order, when you come back in next week to pick it up, I have some ideas for you, but I need to do some research and I need to run some numbers. When you come in next week, would you like to see your numbers? I don't think I ever get told no on that. And the reason I don't get told no is because I've taken them through all 5 segments in one interview. All 5. I guess I'm going to brag. I'm just going to tell you, I'm a master at it. And if you will just learn how to do it, you'll become a master too. You'll be closing cases 1073. You'll be writing the back end sale. And you'll be able to, that's the implementation process. And once you learn that, If you want to build momentum, you don't have to do anything except increase the number of times you implement. That's it. That's what makes it easy. I don't know what that sentence says up above. Oh, yeah, that's right. That puts you in the sweet spot. Okay. If you're in the sweet spot, that's the point where your new client will always allow you to participate in future sales opportunities. I sold 3 cases since Friday. They were all future sales because of estate plans that I had done in the past. One was 500,000, one was 80,000, and one was a 40,000. But they were all things that happened to the clients after I set up their initial estate plan. And I call those money days. If you know if you know your client well enough and you know what's going on in their lives and you know that they're about to sell a piece of property, or you know that they're talking about higher interest rates, or you know that they have multiple sclerosis, and that maybe an income product is a better idea than an accumulation product because of the fact that you don't know, you're not a doctor, but you understand because you ask the health questions that the prognosis of that is that they get weaker and need more care. And why would they not want a product that generated the income to pay for that care that would never run out? And when I said that to that gentleman, he took his finger and he said, "Well, move this down there." I said, "Okay." So it's because I helped them make the best decision about their estate plan that the future sale or the back end sale is so easy to do as long as you're honest and sincere and do it correctly. What is that? It's a snowstorm or polar bear. Wonder what I did with the rest of that. Okay, so I guess I've skipped the screen there. Let me just throw it out to you folks that are here. Are there any questions in this process that we've talked about? And I'm gonna stop right there. I'll take a couple of questions if you have them. Anybody got one?
Randall, there aren't any questions in the chat yet, but the link to sign up for the training, if anyone hasn't done the training, is in the chat.
Okay. All right. And folks, this training program that we do, we take you through step by step. Either we call the first one advanced training spoon fed, where we just give you a little bit of information each day. And if you have another job or you are busy with your career or family life, maybe learning maybe 10 or 15 minutes of something each day is the way to go. But we also have what we call Fast Track, which is the exact same training program that you can do all in. You can start Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon, be ready to roll. And then we also have our website, randallbaxter.com, where you can go in and watch any of these videos, including this one in a couple of days. We put a new one up every week, and it's always the one that we do on Tuesday afternoon at 3:00. And all you got to do is implement. Are there any other questions?
Randall,
Yes.
Carter has a question in the chat. He
Okay.
said, what if someone has a financial advisor already?
Firing. Carter? I'm just kidding you. Go in and see if the plan that they have meets the goals that they've talked to you about. And if they're so attached that they're willing to follow a plan that doesn't meet their goals, act like you don't care. But it's real easy once you've done an estate plan. And if you've solved their income, if you talk to them about their income gaps and their income cliffs and their sure things and their maybes, and if the current advisor doesn't have that, we got $80,000 from another advisor the other day, didn't we, Ben? Yeah.
They fired him for us.
Yeah, they fired them for us, didn't they? But and Carter, I don't mind telling you, we can teach you how to fire the broker. That's a different class, and I'm going to have one of our professional trainers, one of my mentors, teach us that. I find it real easy to fire a broker because once they see that what they have is not what they need and it doesn't meet their personal goals and things, uh, they might say, "Well, I want to go back to my broker." But that means you did something wrong. That means you didn't convince them. You didn't sell yourself well enough because you're the person that's showing them the problem. Don't you deserve to handle that business? And I'll tell you what Mike Stranka does. Mike Stranka says, "Well, we can't do business then. Let's just stop." And he'll look at his watch. But don't be afraid if they have another broker. Go do your job, explain your estate plan, take them through the 5 steps, the 5 segments: unaware, aware, solution aware, product aware, implementation. Act like, hand them the pen, pencil here, sign right here. This fixes that problem. What you got right now proves that you're going to run out of money. And I'll tell you one phrase that I like to use, Carter, especially for the people who are 80, 85 years old and they have a lot of money. I'll look at them and go, you know what? You've already won the game. Why are you staying at risk? Why don't you guarantee your principal and have maybe a 5 or 6% rate of return consistently, or have your income grow? Why would you have your money at risk? We've asked you the health questions. Your wife's got cancer. You got some money in the stock market. There's no reason for you to ever lose that money again. Wouldn't it make sense to go ahead and take care of everything that you want and make it a sure thing? Leave the rest of it in the market, but let's take care of the things that you need, are a problem for the rest of your life, and let's fund it with sure things and don't fund it with maybes. Hope that makes sense, Carter. How about it there, Joseph? What kind of question you got?
Okay, I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
But it doesn't really, it's kind of similar, but it's a little bit off because it's more into the reality of working with a client kind of thing, if that's okay to ask you. Okay. Sure. I'm working with someone right now. I'm going to meet with Greg tomorrow, but you're more of the technical guy than he is. So these are more technical questions on the app kind of thing.
Go ahead.
Okay, when we signed the application, and I've heard in training time and time again, both from you and forgot what's his name, the other guy that talks on the training and stuff. Yeah, they said that when you
Jay or Benton, go ahead.
Something like, they said that when we write the trust, it should always be start with the and end with trust. Okay, I'm working with someone that they have their trust. Okay, we're gonna do a restatement, but it says Howard. I mean, it gives the guy's name. It doesn't say the and trust at the end.
Well, okay, time out, Joe. If you're going to do a restatement,
right,
you have to name it exactly like the name on the old trust, because you're not changing the trust. All you're doing is restating. So if it says the Big White Elephant Revocable Family Trust dated January 1, 2012, then if you're going to do a restatement, you have to put it in the Big White Elephant Family Trust January 1, 2012. You have to put it in exactly it's already written. If you change it, you're not doing a restatement, you're replacing.
Then I'm doing an amendment, which is a total replacement.
Well, no. A lot of people confuse an amendment with a replacement. I'm sorry, a restatement. Okay. An amendment is you just go in and change one little section like 4.1. You change that one section, leave everything else alone. The end result of that is you get a legal bill, and you get your trust keeps getting bigger and bigger every time you make an amendment, and you keep paying a legal fee every time you make that amendment. If you do a restatement on your family estate docs software and you do it correctly, what you're doing, you may still just be changing 4.1, but you do a restatement and they've already paid for their license and they don't have any more legal fees. And all they got to do is go in and change section 4.1 or whatever that section is and get it witnessed and notarized, and bam, they're done. They don't have to move their deeds. They don't have to do anything. So
yeah, that's what I was afraid of, is the next question, but you answered it right now, the deeds and stuff, because he has his house, right? $1.3 million plus, but he's paying a mortgage, plus he has rental, two small rentals, and it's all in the trust that he currently has.
Okay. Good.
So
So you do a
that's
restatement, you don't have to move anything. You leave it in there.
okay. What he
All
wanted to
you're
do
doing.
was what he wants to do
Yeah.
is change the trustee, and all the power of attorneys, the names on that. He wants to change them, switch them around.
Okay, that's fine. That's a restatement. Okay, you can
Okay.
change the trustees, you can change beneficiaries, you can change the terms. And
Yeah,
if you're going to do a restatement using our software, you
right.
name it exactly the same name as the trust that he has and give it the same date and then change all the wording. Let me know because we have to push a button to
What do you
make
mean
it a
by you have to
restatement.
push a button? Oh
Well,
yeah, okay. Okay.
that's what I mean. You got to tell me so I can be sure that when it prints off as a restatement.
Okay. Well, I
Okay.
meet with
And the
Greg
way,
tomorrow, so we
great. You got
so yeah. So that kind of stuff
Greg will show you how to do that.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
congratulations. That sounds like a nice sale.
And
Um,
also, here's another question. I had like four. Is the
go ahead.
trustee locked in as a trustee once the trustor passes?
No, they can quit anytime they want to. They can resign. Remember the four things in there that
Okay.
says that if they die or two doctors say that they're unable to make decisions, or if a judge rules against them, or they can resign. So they're not locked in. If you're the trustor and you're naming the trustee, then you want to be sure that you name a successor trustee and maybe even a second successor trustee, because if you
Uh,
think that person's going to resign, you want to be in charge of who the trustee is, not the person who's resigning.
okay. Because I asked that because I got his trust fund and it's the Hawaii version, right? In Hawaii. And I'm reading the last chapter. I read the last chapter of that where they talk about the trustee duty, responsibilities, and liabilities. And they said that the trustee is locked in. Well, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but it says the trustee is locked in that well, after the person dies, they need to specifically state something, or else anything bad that happens, even though they didn't do it, they're liable.
Oh,
So
your trusted family estate docs won't do that. Ours explicitly say that a future trustee is not responsible for the actions of a past trustee. So I think you might be reading it wrong, Joe. If you
okay,
want to fax
okay.
it to me, I'll send it to our attorneys and look at it. But no, who would ever accept the role of a trustee if they had to be
Yeah, that's
responsible for
why
the actions?
I was
Yeah,
looking
I
at
think.
reading that and I was like, God, if I
No, I think
defined
you're reading it wrong.
everything and told it directly, I would never be a trustee.
Well, right. So I think you're reading it wrong.
Okay, okay, thanks. And what was the last? Oh, and it says here in the family estate docs, it says here, right? Okay, he's unmarried, but I have a married couple that's kind of inquiring. By the way, I haven't even started my 10 list yet. I haven't really even hardly started. And this guy came to me because, I just mentioned it and that's why I'm working on it. I have a lady that's in my neighborhood board. I just mentioned it and I told her she got to wait until I get this thing done because this is my first one, right? So I'm kind of nervous. I want to make sure I get all the dots and Q's and whatever
Okay.
correct.
Okay. All right. No, Joe, hold on there. Let me just say
Yeah.
something to you. Okay.
Okay.
You're better trained than you're giving yourself permission to be. Okay. If you've done your lessons, I will promise you that if you follow what we teach and answer the questions that are in the software, you don't have to know
Right.
all that. You're not even supposed to know all that. All you have to do is say, this is the question and what is the answer. If you're trying to create the rest of it, you're practicing law. Don't do that. You
Okay.
don't have to do that. Okay.
Yeah,
So
maybe I make it too
so
harder on myself. Okay.
okay, and I've got two words of advice for that. You ready?
Yeah.
Stop it. Okay.
Okay.
You can start, you just now told me that you've had three people who are aware,
Right.
okay, that
And
they've
that's not
already
even
gone
my
through
top
the
10 list. And that's
okay,
not
so
even the
so
people on my list.
okay, all right. So implement, my friend, and take them through those five segments. If they are unaware, make them aware. If they're aware, make them aware of the possible solutions. Once you've made them
Okay.
aware of the possible solutions, go to product.
Yeah, because this guy I talked with, I did exactly how we did it in class. What you just went over. I used the PowerPoint and I did the thing. I went backwards on the attorneys and so forth. And yeah, so I did that drawing, the circles, and he was
Mhm.
shocked. He told me, I told him, did your law firm do that with you when you did it? He said, no, they didn't do nothing like that for me. He goes, you make it way more clear. And I'm like, wow, okay, thanks. So I was kind of like, yeah. But
Well,
anyway, the last
Joe,
question,
go ahead.
I don't want to take up everybody's time. That's why.
That's
Okay,
okay. You're
it
doing
says
good.
here, the single grantor trust default to single unmarried person. If you are married, it is highly advised to add your spouse as either and equal beneficiary or disinherited. In addition, you will need to have your advisor contact support to administratively add your spouse information to your trust account. Because I was looking at this, right? The single whatever, and without having to go into that AB trust thing, but just keeping it single. So if I have them married and I want to put them on that, then I'd have to contact you guys and you folks would have to put in an extra space on the form.
Okay. No, and I think again, you're making it too hard.
Yeah.
Okay. If they're married and you're not going to include the wife as a trustor, there's a reason. It's either you don't trust her or she's incompetent. And you're doing that on purpose. Now, if she's competent and knows that you're setting up a trust with a husband and she doesn't speak up and run you out the door, okay, because she needs to be a grantor, a grantor also, okay? That's why we have a single grantor trust and we have a married couple trust, okay? But
Okay, so
I had two people about to get married and they were in their 80s and but they weren't married yet and they wanted separate trusts before they got married. That made total sense because they were both bringing different assets to the marriage and they wanted those assets separated up front, okay?
okay, so if they want to be so if they want to both, like if they want to both be the trustors and the trustees, because I heard you say that's possible, then they would have to apply with the AB trust.
No, they don't have to apply with an AB trust. An AB trust is the simple reason for an AB trust is if they need to do tax planning and if their estate's between $5 and $15 million or higher. If their estate is over, and they may be in Hawaii, I don't know what the values of the property are
A
there.
lot more expensive, average a
okay,
million
all right.
almost.
Okay, so don't give tax advice. If it's $1 million, just go with a regular trust. Okay.
Okay.
So again, you're making it way too hard.
Okay.
Okay. Have confidence in what you've learned. And
Right.
all you have to do is answer the questions.
Okay.
Okay. What else you got there?
Okay. That's it.
Well, great, Joe. Go out there and
Thank
write all
you.
4 of those things and let me know. Take care, my friend.
Okay.
How about other
Thank you very
questions?
much.
I hope we answered them all.
There's a question in the chat from Samuel. He wants to know, how am I paid on each sale?
How are you paid? Well, Samuel, we pay our licensees on the 10th of the month. Like April 10th, you'll get paid for all business you write in March. You determine how much you make by establishing the price in the documents that you charge for. So I like the price $19.95. Some people like it a little higher. Some people do it lower. I don't understand why they do it lower, because $19.95 is a very fair price for a lifetime agreement to have an estate plan that you can change anytime you have an asset change or a relationship change or a health change. So if you sell for $19.95, you make $1,200 gross. That is not your net. I'd say you'd probably have $100 or $150 worth of expenses. But you'd pay those expenses, and that might be in the delivery. It might be in mileage. It might be in the cost of paper if you're going to print it off for them. But you get paid on the 10th of the month on the front end sale, and the back end sale you get paid whenever the policy goes through or the contract goes through. You get paid whenever the insurance company pays you. Does that answer your question, Samuel?
Randall, Tony has a question.
All right, Tony, go ahead.
Does an amendment require renotarization? Does a restatement require renotarization?
Yes to both of them. A restatement is cleaner, but both of them are going to. Some states don't require you to have witnesses on a trust. just that you have it notarized. The ones that we're printing out right now, family estate docs in Tennessee, are requiring witnesses. They used to not, but now they require witnesses. But if you're doing an amendment, you have an attorney do an amendment. We don't do amendments. And if you do an amendment, you probably need to have it witnessed and notarized. But you can do, our software will let you do restatements anywhere in the country. That's why we recommend that you do a restatement and not amendment. I hope that answered your question, Tony. Any more?
No more questions in the chat.
Oh,
Okay, it did, Randy, it did, but then I have, I guess, a follow-up question. When
Go ahead.
someone, when we do the trust but yet the bequests, the area of the bequests and things like that, those are not actually part of the notarization, correct?
if you do a bequest, you have to do an amendment or a restatement, because bequest is part of the document. If you change the document, you need to have it witnessed and notarized. If you're just talking about that sheet that's on the back that you say, I've got this World War II rifle and I want it to go to my nephew Johnny, and then you sign it, that just needs to be witnessed.
Okay, because when you go all the way through the next to the and that next to the last tab, you've got the thing where they can, basically you hit the question mark and it says you can put things like what you want done for your funeral, et cetera, et cetera. Those are
Right.
not actually notarized.
No, those are not.
Okay, all right. Thanks for clarification.
They're probably, if it's cheaper, your family's going to throw you in a fire anyway.
Well, I've done told them that. It's like I'm supposed to be cremated, and then my son is supposed to scatter me on all the different fields I've refereed soccer on.
Oh, there you go. Well, you don't want to be like the big Yablonsky and you go throw the dust over that cliff and the wind blow it in your face. Okay. Any more, Tony? Did that answer your question?
Yes, you answered my question. Thank you.
Great. Are there any more questions out there? Well, I've still got a few more minutes.
Lonnie had a question in the chat.
Hey, Lonnie.
I had another appointment and got on late. Did you discuss the meeting in Las Vegas?
No, let's talk about the meeting in Las Vegas. On April 30th, I'm going to be doing a boot camp. And it's going to be I've got some great people who are going to help me with it. Anthony Rinaldi is going to come in and we're going to talk about the Deferred Sales Trust. And Mike Bemis is going to come and make the presentation for you on how to do the income sale. In the meantime, I'm going to be teaching you a lot of things that we've taught you here, but we're going to show you how to make the connections on all these future sales. So I really want you, if you can come to the boot camp, come to the boot camp. If you need information, send me an email. We'll send you the hotel. I'll buy you breakfast. The meeting starts at 8 o'clock, so breakfast will start at 7 a.m. on April 30th. I'll teach you what I know and show you what I do, and then I'll buy you lunch. And then when we come back in from lunch, I'm going to show you how to make the back end sale and how to predict the future sales. So,
Randall, should I put the link in the chat?
Yes, go ahead. Please do that.
Okay.
Yeah, Lisa, do that. And Lonnie, I had an appointment with you today. I'm so busy today. It's not a good day to make an individual appointment with me on Tuesdays. And I apologize. If you had time, if you want to talk a little bit about the workshop that you did, I'd love to hear about it. Okay. All right. So how about other questions?
Your boot camp is the day before the Simplicity 2-day thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I worked with Simplicity, and they were so kind to me that they gave me all their rates, and it's $81 a night to stay in that hotel at the South Point, and it's one of the nicest hotels in the world. But that they realize that it's very important for new agents to learn how to get up to the opportunity to have the back end income sale, and they know that, and we know that, and what I'm teaching people leads. How can you have a properly funded estates plan if you don't have a properly discussed income plan? So they realize it and I realize that. So what I'm going to be doing on April 30th leads right into what they're doing May 1st and 2nd.
Randall, can you hear me?
Yes, who is this?
This is Lonnie.
Hey,
Yeah,
Lonnie.
I had to get my mic hooked up.
Oh.
No, the note that I had attached to your Calendly mentioned I haven't done the workshop. I'm doing the workshop next Tuesday. So I just
Okay.
wanted to, I had a question on a couple of the, I had a couple of questions regarding the PowerPoint you sent.
Okay.
But so I don't know if you have time to discuss
Well,
that at
go
some
ahead. Go
point.
ahead. These folks have seen that PowerPoint. Go ahead and ask your question. Might help them
Well,
too.
Yeah, okay. Well, on the PowerPoint, there was a couple of screens where you're drawing the family tree. And in regard to the divorced person or the widowed person, is there any comments on that, or what you had a line crossed out on one of them?
Well, that's what you do when you divorce somebody. You X them out. Unless they're still in your life. And that's why I always ask them, is this divorced person still in your life? And if they say no, I put an X in there. But you know, there are a lot of people that have divorced spouses that are still active in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know, even my sister, her husband, that they're divorced, they're still very, very active in the lives of their grandchildren, and they're still friends.
Oh, okay. I just
Okay.
wanted to clarify on the PowerPoint what that was all about.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you said the meeting is at the South Point Hotel in Vegas?
I think it's South Point. Yeah, South Point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead. And I think Lisa just put the link up there in the chat room if you want to
okay.
get that
Yes, the link's
information.
in the chat.
It's in the chat. Okay, let's see.
Oh, you're high tech like me. Lisa, send me that link by email and I'll send it to Lonnie.
Okay, I will
Oh, there it is.
do.
I see it. I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good.
Great.
Good. Lonnie, I'm just kidding you.
No,
I
was.
I'm technically challenged myself.
Very good. All right. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah,
If-
is there anybody that's
Sorry.
maybe wanting to go that would want to share a room and end up making that $40 a night?
Well, you'll have to ask around and see. My end is no. I'd have to have an escape route.
Oh, I understand. You obviously all the presenting and everything, but I didn't know if there's anybody else that was maybe on borderline and going.
Well,
would like to
okay.
both of events and would want to
Hey.
would want to share.
Don't let that $40 stop you from coming. It's worth $100,000
Oh.
to you.
Oh, I'm just always looking for a way.
I know. But I hope you come. Hey, listen, everybody that's on this webinar today, you're all invited to come, and I want you to come. And if it's not worth several tens of thousands of dollars to you in the next 90 days, it'd be your own fault, because the material is good, the process is good, the people that you're going to meet are perfect. You need to see what other agents are doing and other successful agents are doing. You need to hear from some of the attorneys that we're going to have there that are also licensees and agents with me and or agents with Simplicity. And you need to meet those people. Anybody else?
Yeah, I do have one more.
Okay.
I just opened the link, and what I'm seeing is just the part that's how I pay, the credit card deal. But I don't have any information on the hotel or any of that. Is that part available?
Yeah. Lonnie, I'll get it to you before the day's out.
Very good. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Lisa, can you help me do that?
Yes, sure, Randall. I'll send it to Lonnie.
Okay, thank you. Send it to everybody that's here, if you will.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll send it
what
after
else we
the
got?
record.
Okay.
A. Fletcher asked 2 questions. What is the best way to generate leads, and will there be a remote option for Vegas?
No, there won't be a remote option for Vegas because they want $10,000 to do that. And, um, no, but, hold on a second here. What was the first question?
What is the
remote
best
option?
way to generate leads?
Oh, the best way to generate a lead is to find people in segment one who are unaware that they have a problem and approach them correctly if you want to do it inexpensively. If you want to do it, another way to do it inexpensively is contact your existing clients. If you want to do it in the way that we did it this month, because we decided to do a laboratory on approaching people that have not done business with in the past, we did a workshop through Jeff Mills. $3,500 already has generated, it's either 5 or 6 trusts that we made $1,200 each on one. That's $7,200 when we spent $3,500. But we've also done over $500,000 worth of annuity sales, which is another $35,000. So we did the workshop in the third week of February. Here it is, the third week of March, and we've already reimbursed our total expenses of $4,200, and we've still got $35,000 in accounts receivable coming in on products that we've written, and we've still got about 10 appointments ahead of us. So if I had a money problem and wanted to generate leads, I'd just go for a walk and look around at the people I know, and I'd approach them and say, you know what, I think you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. That's no cost, except a little shoe leather maybe. If you want to buy leads, you still have to approach them. And when you buy a lead, you got to figure out where they are in the segments. Are they in segment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So leads are
Lonnie, sent
okay.
that to Lonnie.
Okay, Lonnie, your stuff's on the way. Leads, don't let leads scare you if you don't have any. Use personal observations. Use direct mail. If I had the money, if I had $3,500, I'd do a workshop in a minute, and I can send you that link if that's what you want. But you can also go back to everyone you've done business with in the past, and that doesn't mean whether you've sold them any insurance products or not. Call your plumber, your electrician, your lawyer, your doctor. Make the same statement of your pastor. Look at have a workshop in your church. There's just many, many different ways to do that. Any other questions?
Randy, I put the information for the hotel for Vegas in the chat, as well as the group code.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
That's that other guy that talks to you once in a while, Joe. Okay. Anything else?
Nothing more in the chat.
Oh, I hate it when people quit asking questions. That means they got to quit and go home and relax. I'm going to give you just another minute. If you have one more question, let's ask it. I hope we've opened your eyes onto the process, and I hope you see it. There's a new value for you in the fact that the Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To First Interview does every segment in the marketing process for you, and all you have to do is follow the agenda, be sincere, and make the presentation to the point where it's their loss if they say no.
Emulate, don't
Yeah.
innovate.
That's right. Like Greg said, emulate us and don't innovate. Okay. Let me see if there's
Randall,
anything else in
Felicia
here.
has a question.
Go ahead.
Does it work if we do a workshop and a brand new still? Thanks.
Does it work if you're a brand new licensee? Is that the question? Absolutely. All you have to do is, and here's what I do when I go into a workshop, I hand everybody an agenda and I tell them what we're going to talk about. And I follow that agenda, and it's the exact same presentation that I make one-on-one that I do one-to-many. So don't your first one will never be as good as your second or third one or fourth one. But even if you're not good at your first one, you'll still get your money returned back and make a profit, and you'll get better at it, and you'll pick up lots of advocates, people that are going to like what you do, and you're going to make a lot of sales. But only if you follow what I teach, and only if you do it the way I do it, this is the only way I'll tell you it works. If you change it, then I'll bet you're off. Don't change it. I didn't hear who that was. Who asked that question?
It was Felicia.
Okay, hi Felicia. Okay. Yes, Felicia. And Felicia, you can do it. All you got to do is set a date, set a calendar, go in and make the presentation. You're sweet. People will love you and they will appreciate what you say and do. Am I ready to go home? Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. I guess I'm going to stop. And I hate to, because I think, this is your opportunity to get your questions asked if you need to. But other than that, I'm going to sign off. And what?
I have one more question here.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Joe. It's all right.
Okay, I was looking through the family estate docs, right? And it slipped my mind, but there are 3 parts on the family estate docs, okay, for the client thing. The first one is the EULA, the lease agreement. The second one, there's 2 other ones about privacy was the last one, and I forgot what the second one in the middle was. Are all
That's
3?
that's your agreement. That's the agreement as a licensee. The end user is the retail. The other one is the wholesale. The other end user agreement is what you agree to.
Oh no, there were 4 things. So I got to think. The first was client end user license agreement. Second was client terms of use. That was the middle one, and the last one is the privacy.
Okay. What about
So all 3, do they have to acknowledge all 3 of them, or just the EULA, the client end user license agreement?
your software asks them the question, do you agree to the end user agreement? And they check yes. Most people don't even read it. That's why I want
Right.
you to understand what it is and why you need to make sure they understand it. But they can't move forward in the software unless they agree to it. Most people just say yes and move on. They don't care if it says we're going to show up and shave your dog and steal your cat.
Okay. So what I'm doing is how you taught me when I first got in a while back. Is I'm
Okay.
doing the old paperwork style because the guy is an older 84-year-old guy, no computer, whatever, but works for the state in numbers. And so I'm doing this thing where I'm going to be filling out the forms for the single user kind of whatever, single grantor. And so when I get to after I'm finished filling out the forms, I'm going to put them into the software. So is there a thing where they sign about the EULA thing, or I just place an X on it and have him sign the paperwork on the client end user license agreement?
If you're doing the paperwork, you need to print off the end user agreement, give it to them.
Okay, and then have him sign it and keep one for myself and one for him?
I would.
And
I
then
would.
it's an X.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to be sure, right? Because how I am, right? I'm so technical that
Okay. Well, it's okay, and I
Okay.
understand that. But just remember, they want you to lead them through the conversation, and they would not be
Right.
talking to you if they weren't aware that they had a problem.
Right.
Tell them.
Yeah, he has
All right,
other
Matthew.
problems, which I'll talk to Greg about. That Greg is good
Okay.
on. I just want to talk to you about the real technical, the
Okay.
squeaky thing, the oil thing that
Understand.
yeah.
I understand. You're going to
Okay.
be good once you get rolling. All right, my
Okay.
friend.
All right. Thanks, Randy.
All
Okay.
right. What else we
That's
got
it.
out there? Anything else? All right, Joe. Thank you. Sometimes one question leads to another one. Did anybody else have something?
Nothing in the chat.
All right, I'm tired. I'm gonna go home. Hey, everybody. Those of you who are still with us, thank you for listening today. And I promise you next week we'll have something fun to do. I hope you have a happy Easter. And just remember, you got to make the front end sale before the back end sale. And you got to make the back end sale before you run into the future sales. And I promise you that the back end sales and future sales are multiple times larger than the commission on the front end sale. All right. I'm gone. Everybody take care. Happy Easter. Bye.
Thank you, Randy.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Take care.